Alright, hello everyone and welcome back to our Mechbay series. Today we're looking at the Uziel, another 50-ton mech medium, and one of my personal favorites, dating back all the way to the Mechassault 1 and 2 days, where this oddball with big arms was a personal favorite of mine. So, double PPC, double MG, SRM6, and a 300 rated core, along with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 jump jets, and this thing has punch and mobility. Part of that is due to its endo steel chassis, which drops at about 2.5 free tons, and allows for, well, the MG and the MG ammo, which I'd say is a debatable use, and, we'll get to that in a second. But first off, may I just say how wonderful it is this thing can move at 7 on the move, 10 on the sprint. That's just amazing mobility. And because it's an Uziel, it has a specialty cowl that prevents pilot bleed out and adds 5 armor to the head. Now, that doesn't seem like much, but there are certain weapons, say Gauss rifle shots, things like that, that can just barely get through the armor and the internal structure, if you have poor damage mitigation. But changes to BTA 3062 recently, it's a bit easier to mitigate that last little bit, and prevent yourself from getting head capped by anything short of, say, AC-20. But, every little bit counts. And preventing bleed out is wonderful, particularly early on in the campaign when you have pilots with low guts that are particularly prone to getting injured. So, problems with this mech, I'd say right now the biggest problem is the double MG. I mean, this thing is just not a lot of damage, not a lot of utility, and the main armament on the Uziel is double PPCs, which means we want to be fighting people at range, not up close, right? So this is kind of not great. And then packing an SRM6 sort of fixes that close range protection problem, and this is 4 tons for the SRM6 and the ammunition as opposed to 2.5 for double MG, and I'm not sure that's worth it. So before we get to fixing that though, we are going to throw on some standard Pharaoh. I'm going to try and stay away from clan tech for this. We're just going to do a simple upgrade. So, ooh, we don't have enough free slots. Okay, well, that informs things a little bit. So moving at 710, I don't think we need jump jets, and yes, I know this was predictable, but I think it's true nonetheless. So we're going to get rid of the MGs and the jump jets. Now we have a fair bit of free tonnage and free slots, and we can throw on standard ferrofibrous. Not a lot of slots remaining, but 5.3 tons is pretty nice. So we can up armor, and let me just do that the quick way, which gives us 1 ton left. Really not the most crazy sort of interesting thing to do with this mech. We've lost a little bit of armament, and we haven't really picked up that much for it, so if we wanted to, we could throw in, say, another medium laser on that left arm, the right side of my screen, but left side of the mech, and this is acceptable, but there's so much more that we can do, particularly with sort of oddball pieces. For example, we could look at getting a gyro. Now, let's see, it'll have to be something that's really worth it. +1 evasion pips gained from movement doesn't actually help us all that much because we cap out at 8 and this doesn't increase the max. Sprinting at 10, you're already going to get up to 7 or 8 depending on the terrain anyway, so that's really not great. What we need is the, the double plus, the gyro defense double plus, +2 maximum evasion pips, +1 evasion gained from movement, so let's throw that in there. We are 2 tons overweight now, so we do have to deal with that. And let's see what else. So let's go to the cockpit, take a look at what we can do there. And I think, so an FCS Advanced TC seems nice, but we're never really going to be firing just one gun. We have 2 PPCs, we may as well use both PPCs, right? Like that makes sense to me. Artemis 4, we could put in Artemis 4 SRM ammunition, but I mean it's a single SRM6, it's really not phenomenal for that, so I think I'd almost rather have a TTS energy. That's a lot of weight. Yeah, let's keep that out for right now, because, well, let's fix our weapon problem first. Double PPC is classic, it's what makes an Uziel, and I do love that, but I don't know, I have such a problem with PPCs in this game. I think they're very overrated and not all that great. So if we tear those out and replace them with ER large lasers, we will have lost a little bit of punch, picked up a little bit of heat, but also 2 free tons, even with the gyro defense, so that's a pretty big swing. Could of course go for clan tech, and that would always be more efficient, but that's not necessarily what I'm looking for. Ooh. I would love an improved binary laser in this. I would field that all the time, basically. VSPL? No, 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 no. You know what would be nice in here? It's a coil. I wonder, how would that do? So, alright, damage increased based on evasion, base damage multiplied by number of evasion pips to the power of 0.7. Okay, so we have a double heat sink kit in here. When we're sinking a lot, well, when we're not firing anything else, we can sink up to 60. It's not phenomenal. And a coil is pretty heavy. Do I even have a spot for it? Okay, I can. Put it in the torso. Let's put a coil in here. 1 additional free slot. Okay, well, we're going to tear off that laser. We're going to put a coil in. We're just completely destroying the concept of this Uziel, but we're having some fun. It's Mechbay. Let's just, you know, do what we want with it. And the coil, particularly on the sprint there, moving at 10, is going to be very, very nice. So that'll be number of evasion pips to the 0.7, to the 0.7. It's a lot in one go. Granted, a lot of heat as well, and we still need to handle that problem. So, you know what we're going to do is... We're gonna think better of that. It would be an amusing build, but I think it would so demolish the concept of the Uziel that it wouldn't exactly be the sort of improvement that I'm looking for. So the double ER large laser back on there, we're a little overheat, a little toasty. Alpha striking 74 is not great, but since we do have a double heatsink kit on there, we can take standard doubles, put 1. We have 2 free slots, 1 ton left. Not a great match. What can we do about that? Right. We have a 300 rated core, which is large enough for E-cooling. So we can shove E-cooling in there, E-cooling +2, gives us 2 additional internal double heat sinks. Now we're heat sinking 72, alpha striking 74, we've increased our armor, we've switched over to double ER large laser, maintained the SRM-6, and switched over the 2 MGs for medium laser. I would call that all in a good day's work. So, thank you all for hanging around, and we'll see you again real soon.